All righty. Hello, D-Gens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes Happy Hour Sports Talk. I, of course, am the Brofix one, AJ. Happy Friday, December 5th, 2025. Hope you're having an incredible Friday. Ready for this weekend we've got coming. I know I am. But before we go any further, just want to take a moment, shout out to everyone here on Rumble, over on YouTube, X, TikTok. Y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. Does help us out a lot more than you know. So here's the game plan today. I got a couple of things that have been on my mind. Some breaking news coming out in the head coaching world. WNBA negotiations are still going on, and let me tell you, not looking pretty there, along with some other fun stuff. But let's go ahead and get right into it, as the story that seemed like it had no end seems to finally be coming to an end. But then again, we've seen this happen before, and so it'll be interesting to see how this continues to develop. I am referring to the fact that, hey, it seems like Penn State has their guy and finally has him. Matt Campbell and Penn State working towards a deal to for him to become the next head coach of the Nittany Lions. Sources are telling Pete Thamel multiple steps that still need to go, a lot of stuff that still needs to happen in order to get this deal across the line. Overall, maybe. Let's hope. Let's see what happens. Let's see if, if there's someone else that maybe comes into Iowa State, a potato farmer or something, and is like, hey, I'll give you free potatoes for the rest of your life. You'll never buy a single potato again. And then suddenly he's staying in Iowa State. You just don't know, especially with all the steps that still need to take place here. And Penn State, really getting, going about as close as you can get before, without needing a head coach. I mean, they miss signing day. They fall out of the rankings, of National Signing Day and all of those. And so not a great start to next season already for Penn State. It's not looking good. Big Chungus, I'm doing my full fantasy dive tonight, so I will let you know tomorrow about that. I'm sorry, brother. But early thoughts, yeah, I would drop Brian Thomas for Zay Flowers. Anyway, it's very interesting, but the other thing that I found interesting when looking into this and, scrolling through Twitter on this is, Penn State, the big drawback on James Franklin was that, he couldn't win the big one, wasn't really good against top 25 teams, and that hurt Penn State. And we've, there's plenty of evidence about that throughout. This is how bad it is, though. And I mean, not much of an improvement. 15-28 Franklin was against top 25 opponents, and Campbell 16-27. But again, when you've taken big swings and there's a lot of big misses, that you're kind of stuck with where you can be at and what can happen. And so Penn State really finding themselves out here. And really, it just kind of makes you want to sit there and scratch your head a little bit. Like, what the hell have these guys been doing since October? What have they been doing since October that they haven't had something in place, and now they are still scrambling to find a head coach? And I mean, again, a lot needs to get done. There's time for Iowa State to come back and, see if they can maybe put a sweetener in there or something. It's crazy, though. It's crazy. This Penn State job has somehow turned into nuclear waste that nobody wants to be a part of. And I kind of understand. I mean, Penn State ended up being pretty good this year. They're a couple field goals away, a couple bad plays away from being ranked and being in the college football playoff conversation. Virginia Tech is absolutely, going to have they're going to be great. I'm not worried about Virginia Tech next year. I think they're going to be absolutely incredible and really get a good job done. Had a good recruiting class, and they're going to keep it going. So we'll wait and see if, anything does come to fruition with this. I mean, all reports seem to be indicating that, it seems to be happening. Matt Campbell to Penn State. But then again, that news was already coming out earlier with Kalani Sitake this week. And then we saw what happens when Rumble Cookies gets into that fight. That was funny as hell. But yeah, I'm a big fan of, it's a good hire. It's a good hire. I like what Campbell's done at Iowa State, and we'll see if he can nut up and get it done at Penn State. Man, already starting behind the 8 ball, though. So we'll see how he can handle that, because fans ain't going to be happy next season. Fans will not be happy next season. Next, I want to go ahead and talk about good old Uncle, I guess I should call him Grandpa, Bill Belichick, or as Jordan calls him, Daddy, probably. That whole thing is still crazy. But even with all the Pablo Torre finds out stuff coming out, even with UNC not being very good this year overall, objectively, and not a good football team, UNC coming away with the 17th ranked recruiting class in 2026 per Rivals. And not something I'm surprised about. I'm not going to lie, not something I'm surprised about at all. You know, if you look at the timing of when Bill Belichick was announced as the UNC's next head coach, it wasn't in a great time in the college football calendar. You know, most teams were already set. He had to scramble and go find himself a quarterback last minute. And we saw what happened. It was truly let's bring in Bill. Let's get, have the best season that we possibly can, get all the hype that we can, and we'll figure it out from there. And again, rankings are rankings. We've seen what the AP top 25 has looked like this year and what the college football playoffs has looked like this year. So, you can do whatever you want with rankings, but it makes sense. Again, it makes sense. Couldn't get a lot of transfers over. Again, a lot of people happy with where they were, but you get Bill Belichick coming into a house, sitting down across from the parents and saying, I am Bill Belichick. You know exactly who I am and how many Super Bowls I've won. So do you want to come play for me or not? I mean, that's the conversation that happens at those kitchen dining room tables, And as it should be, Bill Belichick, I still believe at the end of the day, Bill Belichick is that good of a head coach. And did it, all work out for him in UNC this year? No. Am I overly concerned about it? Not really. I think it's going to only go up from here. And honestly, for Belichick and for the program, probably better in the long run that he had a down first year, and had all of those expectations coming in and everything like that. And then after the first couple of weeks, like, oh, okay, never mind. And then Bill was just able to cook on recruiting. Doesn't shock me that he was able to recruit, and we'll see what happens next year. But again, I do see success in UNC's future if Bill Belichick is the head coach. Now, is he still going to be distracted beyond belief with his old girlfriend situation? Who knows, man. That whole shit is crazy. I really hope that Jordan chick sues Pablo Torre. That would be absolutely hilarious. But yeah, we'll figure it out. I forgot oh yeah, this was a wild turn of events. Vandy explored the possibility of playing an exempt 13th game. So essentially a scrimmage, you know what I mean? Scrimmage. I guess that's the best thing my brain can come up with right now. But an exhibition match for Vanderbilt. And I know they reached out to Miami. Who else was it? Miami and Utah, which makes sense. I mean, both teams probably need a little bit more of an oomph too. And there would have been TV, there would have been everything. So I think that would have been a good move from Vandy, an interesting move from Vandy if they were able to get this done. And honestly, with this being kind of talked about now, I wouldn't be surprised if going forward from here, college programs have a, break glass if we need a Hail Mary to get into the top 25 or into the college football playoff. And so I think this is going to be something that isn't going to be used often, but we might start seeing next year. And honestly, if I'm college football, I don't hate that thought. I don't hate the idea of having during championship week a play-in game between, 13 and 14, 12 and 11 or whatever, however that's working out from there. But I think an exempt 13th game, an exhibition game, a last chance game will help a lot because especially in the committees, and we've seen this so many times, it's so much of a what have you done now for me recently type league and the decisions they're making. And so keeping, a Vandy, a Miami, a Utah, still within the peripheral and still, within view of the college football playoff committee, I think that's a great idea and something that we will see moving forward. That's genius. And honestly, shout out to Vandy for trying to get that done. I do have a ticket out there, Vandy, to make the college football playoff at plus 5,000. So crossing my fingers there, but I'm not holding my breath too much. Just put a little sprinkle in on that. But again, Diego Pavia still believes he's winning a national championship this year, and there ain't nothing you can tell him to convince him otherwise. But shout out to Vandy. The 13th game would have been very interesting, but not working out. we'll see. I think it's going to be something that we're seeing in the future. I really do. All right. Now, I'm not going to lie. It's not that this brings me a lot of joy. It's just that kind of a nice understanding of where the Arizona Cardinals are at right now, as Ian Rappaport reporting that Jonathan Gannon stating that Kyler Murray not expected to play the rest of the season, citing his foot injury that has not progressed as they want to. So they're going to go ahead and shut him down for the rest of the year. Jacoby Brissett will be taking the snaps for the rest of the season, as he has been for most of this season. And again, this is something that I've been talking about now for months. And it's something I'm going to continue to talk about until it's done. And that is that Kyler Murray is getting traded in the offseason. Traded, released, whatever you want, whatever's going to happen, Kyler Murray will not be a Cardinal next year. And now what do the Cardinals do? Do we try to go into free agency and find a quarterback? Do we try to draft a quarterback? And honestly, what is going to end up in being, I believe, at least going into the draft, a less than stellar draft class. Of course, we'll see what happens when we get on the field with the boys and everything like that. But it's just it's an interesting situation for the Cardinals. I'm not sure if we should draft a quarterback. I'm not a fan right now of what I think is going to be out there in the free agency market. And so I don't know. The Cardinals are in a bad position, and I would take this opportunity. We don't have a quarterback. We don't really have a team in general. Marvin Harrison Jr. going to be out with his his heel injury. I would just blow it all up. I really think they need to just blow up the front office, blow up the coaching staff, get rid of this quarterback, and figure it out from there. Start completely new. Commit to a full rebuild. Because since Kyler Murray has been here, at no point did we commit to a rebuild. You know what I mean? We were in quarterback hell there. We drafted Josh Rosen, and then we don't like Josh Rosen, so we get Kyler in there, and now here we are. And when Kyler came in and took over for Rosen, when we drafted him, it was still a shell of the team that we had 2-3 years ago. And they never took the time to rebuild completely around him and the type of football that he plays. Now, is the type of football he plays an NFL style that can actually translate? I'm on the outs on that from what I've been seeing the last 8 years of my life, 7 years of my life, if I'm not being overly dramatic. But the Cardinals need to move on from Kyler. They've been needing to move on from Kyler, and I think they should just clean house. Let's start fresh with everything. But Bidwell doesn't have the balls to do that, and that's the long and the short of it. Not Mike. I'm doing my full fantasy analysis tonight, but I am leaning Debo early this week. I am leaning Debo early. So we'll see what happens with the Cardinals. Good things. Only good things from here, though. That's what I'm thinking. Next thing that came up, not really sports related, but it's gambling related, and I love gambling and talking about gambling. So I want to talk about what seems like, a very natural partnership here. CNN and Kalshi are going to be partnering to integrate their prediction markets into the newsroom. And so, sorry, Michael. Sorry about that, bud. That was a good game, though. Tennessee played a little bit better than I thought they were going to. Anyway, where was I? It makes sense. I mean, just like ESPN and, the NFL and everyone, partnering up with sports books, and you see it on the scroll, it's going to be similar to that. It's whatever. Like, it makes sense. I think that everything is going to start to get a lot more muddy when this lawsuit that was filed against Kalshi the week of Thanksgiving starts to kind of move forward, and those findings and discovery happens and everything like that. I'm not longing these prediction markets. I'm not at all, and not unless it's heavily regulated, because right now it just kind of sits in limbo of, is it stock trading? Is it sports betting? What is it really? And I don't think anyone really knows. I don't think Kalshi really knows what they are, a Polymarket or anything like that. I stay away from them completely. I'm not a huge fan of the way that they're set up. I don't like the markets. I think the lines are dumb, and it's sports gambling with extra steps. That's where I'm at with it. It's sports gambling with extra steps, and it's to make it seem, I want to say less grimy, but like, you know what I mean? You look at gamblers, and the casinos kind of treat it the same way as well. You know what I mean? You want your high limit players, you want your table players, your slots players and everything. You want your horse racer, your horse bettors and everything like that. And then there's 50 feet of shit. And then there's the sports gamblers. And I guess Kalshi and Polymarket are trying to kind of rebrand it so it's not sports betting, it's trading on sports. But then you just get these hipster douchebags who are like, "Oh no, I don't do that gambling thing. I don't gamble on sports. I trade on sports." It's like, fuck off, dude. No, you're a degenerate just like me. You just like it with a prettier title. Like, at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's a prettier title on what is gambling. And then we can go into that whole thing with stock markets and everything. Like, it's all gambling. Yes, absolutely. It's all gambling. But yet there's only one gambling, entity that has a phone number to call. And that doesn't make any sense to me. Again, for some reason, sports gamblers are, plastered as these, just low lives, and, they gamble all their money away all the time and everything. Fuck me, dude. You see guys at casinos go in there and lose their shirts in under 20 minutes. And I'm sitting there with a couple of plays in. You know what I mean? Like, there's levels to this shit. And don't get me wrong, people lose their money gambling all the time. Again, gamble responsibly, gamble within your means. It's supposed to be a fun thing. And I agree, people take it too seriously. I don't. Like, again, I gamble every single day. I sports bet every single day. It's my hobby. It's what I do. But I'm also not one of those guys who's going to go and sit in an NBA game and start cussing out Devin Booker because he missed a free throw. Like, that's just not the type of person I am or anything. And again, those stories do get out. It's the one bad apple that ruins it for everything or gives everyone a bad name. And unfortunately, I think these prediction markets are doing the same thing in the giving sports gambling a bad name, because, it's trading. It's so much more sophisticated than your little gambling. Like, fuck off, dude. You don't know what the fuck you're looking at. 7-point spread. You don't even know, dude. You don't even know. And again, like, oh, well, it's betting against, you're betting against other people. You're not betting against the book. Kalshi just takes their, 10% cut or whatever. It's like, dude, that's the same shit that casinos work. You want me to show you a website? Let me show you a fucking website. And there's multiple websites out here. And what does it do? Oh, crazy. It shows me where the public is at. And do you know what sports books do when the public gets to one side or two to the other? They move the line, which is exactly what Kalshi does. Again, these prediction markets are sports gambling with extra steps to make it seem what it's not, which is sports betting. They're trying to make it sports betting without being sports betting, without being regulated, without. And it's scummy, it's scammy. I'm not a fan of it. And again, it is sports betting. It is gambling on the outcome of unknown results. That is the definition of gambling. And yet we're all just sitting here like, oh, well, it's not gambling. Golly. I'm over it. I don't use prediction markets. I did try it out one time, and I was frustrated. I was frustrated with it. And again, go ahead. Call me an old head. Call me, I need to get with the times or whatever. But nah, man, I'm going to call it duck a duck. And this thing is a duck and a half, man. I'm not in on it whatsoever. Nope. But anyway, from not being in on that, let me tell you about something that I'm starting to get a little frustrated. I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated with what's going on with the W. And I'm a sports guy at the end of the day. All I want is good competition. That is what I enjoy. I enjoy watching people who have, practiced and worked their life to perfect their craft and to do it so well and to compete against others who do the same. And so you throw WNBA, you throw whatever women's sports there. I don't care as long as it's good. Okay. And the WNBA has had problems with play. And I'm not blaming it on the women that play whatsoever. I think that the talent level and what we have seen out of women's basketball over the last 5 years, and I would even go a little bit further than 5, maybe I'm probably reaching out to 10. It's been on a steady incline. And then Caitlin Clark, you got Caitlin Clark, Paige, and Angel Reese, and that just bumps everything up, and it's continuing to go up, which is great. And again, I do agree that at some point the players do need to get paid more. I am never going to, not be on the side of, no, they need to get paid more for what they do. I think I need to get paid more for what I do in my day job. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there are expenses. There are other things out there that prevent me or anyone from getting paid more. And what's preventing the players in the WNBA from getting paid more is the fact that they've been running for 25 years, not turning a single cent of a profit except for the last couple. And again, the numbers look incredible. It is healthy growth. It's the first time we're seeing all of this, and it needs to continue, and it will continue because the WNBA, it's undeniable the popularity of the WNBA continues to increase and will continue to increase. They've got so many young fans. The ticket prices are, and again, I think this is a good thing for the WNBA, not a detriment to the WNBA, but the ticket prices are affordable. Even when I was looking at Mercury tickets when Caitlin Clark and the Fever came out here, I looked at the tickets and I didn't feel like I was getting robbed. Something else came up that I had to go to, but I felt like I wasn't getting robbed. At DC Rich, thank you for the follow, brother. Appreciate you, dog. But, and again, I think that's a good thing, and that's why baseball is starting to grow again. The ticket prices aren't out of this world outside of playoff games and everything like that. And that's a bonus for the WNBA. But again, that's a whole other topic. I think thank you for the follow, mystery person. I appreciate you, dog. I guess the biggest disconnect here, and the league seems to be very upfront and honest with the players and the Players Association. Like, hey guys, this is how much we've lost over the last however many years. This is how much we've made the last 2 years. Like, we need to recoup. We need to pay our debts. We need to do X, Y, Z. And the more and more that comes out about the WNBA, like, I'm sorry, some of these players need to shut the fuck up. The more and more coming out, like with the CBA agreements and everything, like additional details. And this is the latest proposal that's going around. League has proposed a 12 to 14% share of total league revenue. I'm good with that. Players oppose the core and reserve contract designation. So like, kind of like the Supermax, Max, et cetera, just those designations. Fine, whatever, work with that. Shorten the length of a rookie scale contract. I want to push back there a little bit because it's not, abnormally long or anything like that. I believe it's about 4 or 5 years, which works out. And usually if you're good enough, you've got that other contract before those contracts are even coming up. So I don't know what anyone's worried about, but whatever. Players looking for maternity leave for non-birthing parents. Yeah, I agree. That's pretty normal across, all all industries, at least the industries I've worked in. And so that makes sense. Players looking for meaningful retirement benefits. Yeah, so is every player in every league that's ever existed, if we're going to be completely honest. But then there was also stuff coming out about how the league wanted to cut in-season housing for the WNBA, which I was like, oh, what the fuck would in-season housing be? Essentially, if they don't live, in the area where the team plays, they'll buy them an apartment for the season so that they can play. You're getting that stipend? You joking me with the way with real estate prices now? And they're nice apartments. They're not, little shitholes or anything, 5x5 box in New York City or anything like that. And I just continue to sit here and think about it. And again, I want nothing more than this league to succeed. I would love to have another sport to talk about in the summer, but they need to fix officiating. They need to get this done because if they go into a lockout this next season, all of the momentum they built will just be gone. And that's just for the WNBA, at least. You have Unrivaled. You have this other new one coming in. And they're going to get paid. And there is a market for women's basketball. There's a big market for women's basketball. And it's been revitalized, and it's going to continue to grow. And people are going to be wanting that content. And if the WNBA can't get a deal done, they're fucked. Straight up fucked. And it'll keep going because Big Daddy NBA is going to continue to foot that bill. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's not going to be good. It would be very bad for the league. I mean, you think those stadiums were empty before COVID? Just fucking wait. Just fucking wait. It's not going to be good. It's not. I really hope the players get a deal done that they believe is reasonable. I hope it's a reasonable deal for this league so that they can continue to turn a profit and continue to, work towards, getting off of the NBA's teat, because it's not profitable for anybody except the players. And I know they don't believe that because they believe they're being paid below market value. But are they really? I don't know. With these new leagues coming in, like I'm not overly worried about that if the WNBA can get a season off. If they can get this season going, then these new leagues and everything, yeah, they're going to be throwing more money at players and everything like that. because they're coming in with however much private equity money or personal money is coming in that's not tied to any debts with the league outside of any debts that they created already. And so, again, I do think the players need to be a little bit more reasonable with the league and what is being asked and what is actually realistic. And honestly, I would be fine if they went ahead and just, do a short-term CBA. This is our 3-4 year CBA that we can agree on so we can get a season going. Let's revisit it then when financials start to settle and we get kind of a, better outlook on the next 25, 25 years, because they're expanding. You got more teams coming into the league. How's that going to be changing revenue? And so if I'm the players and the Players Association, if anything, I just want to get something done that's a little bit more respectable and a little bit more in line with what's going on with the league financially, but while still allowing them to start to pay off those debts and then revisit it in 4 or 5 years and go through this again. But then again, you'll at least have more of an outlook in the future of what the financials will look like so you can ask for more money at the end. So, Sam, start Lamar, Brissett, or Lawrence? I'd probably start Lawrence this week. Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be out for the Cardinals. The Ravens have been playing like dog shit. I'd go Trevor Lawrence this week. But yeah, WNBA needs to figure it out, needs to get it done. But yeah, that's all I got today. I just wanted to hop on, talk some sports for a little bit while my wife is still working. And then, yeah, I'm actually going to go and set up, got a golf sim. I'm excited about that. Yes, Ethan, I'm hearing Matt Campbell to Penn State as well. All the signs are leaning there. But, oof. I like that. Sam, I'm kind of with you there. He is going to have to throw a lot. Michael Wilson has been a solid second option for Marvin Harrison Jr., and then you still got Trey McBride. He's such a dog. I don't know. I'm so hurt by my Arizona Cardinals. Like, it's hard for me to put any faith into them. So, Eileen Lawrence, do what you want, though, bro. I trust you. But yeah, Matt Campbell to Penn State. I mean, outside of some, mogul, I don't know, potato or chicken farmer or something, it's going to be crazy. Good or bad, I'm indifferent on it, man. I mean, I think, one stat that came out, James Franklin couldn't win the big one. He's 15-26. Matt Campbell's 16-27. So yeah, slight improvement, but not really. And I don't know. I think it'll be a different type of energy in the building. And I think any type of, anything new for Penn State is a good thing. They need to wash the, all of this stank from their program being radioactive waste for these head coaches. They found a guy that's willing to go. Again, outside of any other funny business, I think it's an overall pretty good move for Penn State, but more of a lateral move than anything. You're going from James Franklin to Matt Campbell. I don't know why you would go through all of this just to, essentially get the same guy. That's just me. But yeah, that's all I got today. I'm going to go put together my golf simulator. I'm beyond excited about that. Me now, Kirk and Matt in the same color. So yeah, that'll be fun at least. That'll be a lot of fun at least. But hey, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to everyone here on Rumble, over on YouTube, X, TikTok. Y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit the follow buttons. Does help us out a lot more than you know. Ethan, thank you for the follow, brother. I appreciate you. I will be live tomorrow morning going over reactions from Championship Friday night with 4 games kicking off here soon. Cannot wait for that. And then going over my picks as well for Championship Saturday. Cannot wait for that. But hey, again, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your Friday. Have an incredible weekend. Good luck. God bless. I'll see you all next time on Degenerate Takes.